And Bill's kind of pissed off. Like,
Yeah, what did you do? I heard that story once. You went into his office, and what did you do?
so I had this remote, right? And again, this is back in the day when this stuff didn't really exist, but I was always surfing the net. And it was a mouse, and it plugged in, actually. But it didn't do anything when you plugged it in. You couldn't actually control the mouse. But there were, I don't know how you get this much energy out of 2 AAA batteries, but those 2 AAA batteries, when you hit that mouse button, it would send like Jesus through your body, like real quick. And so he was in a staff meeting. It was in training camp, and nobody was there. So I slip in, and I'm on my way out. They're still working really hard trying to make us better. And I go in there and I put that thing on his laptop on his desk. I come in the next morning, dying, neck's killing me. It's like the start of training camp. I'm not even thinking about what I did the night before. And Bears is like, immediately when I walk in, he's like, not good. like seriously, like, and you can see in his eyes, like,
And Bears just the Bears.
the Bear, he not good. And I'm like, what? And but I know what he's saying, right? But I'm like, what are you talking about? Deny till you die. And he's like, just telling you, it's not good, man. What happens is not good. And I'm like, hey, look, I can't play this game right now. I got to go get ready. So I walk into the meal room, and when I walk in there, Matty P is just got some toast or something, and he turns around and he sees me, and he's like, you're an idiot. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you too? And he's like, hey, man, he's fired up, and because of your dumb ass, we spent like 2 more extra hours here last night. And I'm like, for what? And he goes, I know it was you. And when he shocked himself the first time, he had his hand off the keyboard. The second time, his hand hit the keyboard and it deleted his notes. You know how he takes notes every single day of everything.
Everything.
Like, hey, by the way, this is crazy, man. Here's a great example. Let's say we're playing the Jets and it's Monday afternoon, so we're playing a divisional game, right? We're coming off a loss on the road, and we have a 2 key players on defense that went down. He'll go back in his notes and do keyword search or something, and he'll find a scenario that mimics that almost to a T, and then he'll look and see, how did I address the team? Did I go hard on him? Did I take it easy on him? Did I push him? And how hard did I push him? Did we practice a certain way? What was the outcome? How did it come out? All that stuff gets analyzed, man. That's the craziness and the complexity that a lot of people don't realize. I don't know how much that weighs in his success or whatever else, but that's who he is, right? So now, by the way, first time he didn't have his hand on the keyboard. Second time he shocked himself, he did, and it closed down the program. The way I look at that is, you're an error repeater. The first one was my fault. Second one, that's your fault. Now, we didn't talk about that, but I will say this. When he lost that was not a good day, because it wasn't like autosave, apparently. So all of his notes for that day apparently went bye-bye. And what I thought was real. So I wanted to go get my mouse, but I left that thing in there, buddy. Once I heard about that one, I was like, yeah, that thing's gone.
What did he say to you?
Literally, he said something like, he stopped me. And by the way, Bill's kind of like Tommy. Like, I have no idea how Tommy got from one meeting room to the next. I don't know if he floated in the atmosphere. He like became particles and just reappears like in weird places. Obviously, he didn't shower. Tommy never showered.
Never.
Nobody ever saw him in there. Weird.
Well, actually, I see him a couple times. He'd have the 2 shower heads on him. Remember, he would be in the corner sometimes.
Rarely.
And he
Typically
would do
after
2
a game.
shower heads. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you had 2 showers?
I know. And neither one of those heads wanted to be pointed to him.
No.
Seriously. Like, the water was like, he's hydrophobic. Like, water doesn't like him or something.
You got to think about it. He probably goes to like his sick home where like he's got like hydrogen based water.
No, listen, I think he has to wash him every day. I think so, seriously.
That's Alex
Guerrero, yeah.
Little tiny hands. Like,
so what did Bill say?
hey man, he was fired up. He basically told me, if you go in my office again, I will kill you. And of course I denied. I'm like, Coach, what are we even talking about? He's like, you know exactly what we're talking about. I really don't. I said, but I'm gonna get some food here. I'll see you in the meeting room. But it was weird because Matty P came at me and so did Bears, and I thought they were like flipping it on me, right? Like, oh, we're gonna make him think that Coach is really fired up. No, Coach, because Dante was the last one, because Dante doesn't mess around. Dante was real matter of fact.
What did Scar say?
he's like, I don't think that was a good idea. You probably shouldn't go in the head coach's office. And I'm like, you too? I'm like, I don't know what you're even talking about.
So did you deny it till forever?
Forever. But that's so again, we didn't have a conversation about it. It wasn't like at some point he came to me and was like, hey, that shit was kind of funny. You got me. If that shit hurt, you know, like I'd be cool to acknowledge any of this. Like, hey, Bill, remember that email you sent me? Like, that was funny. But there's a part of me that believes, like, what he reiterated on his concluding remarks email, that he was kind of serious. You know what I'm saying?
Dead serious. Bill he was notorious for fucking quizzing us on spot. And I could have sworn Matt Light was sleeping in a meeting. And Bill tried to catch Matt. And he goes, Matt, you got all the fucking answers.
That's exactly what he said, actually. I was just going to say that.
Matt, you got all the fucking answers. What coverage is that? And you hit the coverage. What was it, like 2 blitz zone 2C?
It was like the square root of an isosceles triangle is equal to the opposite. Yeah. I'm like, and everybody turns around and they're like, because they know I sleep. Like, you know I sleep.
Yeah.
I slept through every meeting. And I don't, honestly, my wife was like, you're going to get fired, like my first year. I remember Dante Scarnecchia, my line coach, would make me stand up in the meeting room when we had our offensive line meetings, and I would fall asleep eating a candy bar, trying to stay awake eating a candy bar, fall asleep standing. And he would be like, Light, if you fall asleep one more time, I will kill you. And I'm like, oh, man, like I'm a rookie. I didn't know what was happening. On that one, though, so this is the greatest, right? So notorious sleeper. Copen would kick me. He sat right behind me. He would always feed me the answer, too, because I don't know what Bill just said. I was asleep. And so, and by the way, like football, like, yes, we're a bunch of Neanderthals, but like I don't need to watch that 700 times. Like all we do is sit and rewind, watch. So on this one, if you think on that season, we had a bunch of young guys, and defensively, as you know, the defense could get everything wrong. You know, Bill would be like, all right, look, you know, what are we expecting? You know, he'd be talking to the offense in this situation. What are we expecting them to do? I mean, it's 3rd down. We're in a red zone. I mean, you know, we got, you know, whatever. We got trips. You know, and he'd ask somebody a question, and it'd be like a really difficult question. Yeah. And we would come up with an answer that's pretty good. I mean, he'd be like, no, what the fuck? You know, that's not what they're going to do. I mean, God damn it. You know, have you watched an ounce of film? And then he would go to the defense, and he'd be like, all right, guys, like, what's 1 + 7? And they'd be like, 6.5. And they'd like, oh, that's pretty close, pretty good. All right, now moving on. I'm like, what are we talking about, coach? Like, those guys have no idea.
What color are their jerseys?
Right.
Like, he would give some fucking terrible, he'd give the easiest questions, these fucking defensive guys.
And they always got to pass.
Always.
Every time. So I'm listening to this, and I'm like, these cats have no idea. And Bill's kind of pissed off. Like, we had a couple weeks of coming in, and I want some answers. It's a Wednesday morning, right? And you better have my answers, right? Well, they weren't having it. So I go on my way out. Well, I don't know why. I just had this epiphany. And I walk into Coach's office, which is always awkward. Like, you don't go in there just to go in there.
Oh, no.
And you got to pass Bears, the little man purse right there at the front, right? And I love Bears. But, you know, so anyway, I go in there. Coach is working at his computer, and he looks up at me. He's like, you know, like there wasn't a question. It was just like a, you know, and I'm like, and I right then immediately I'm like, what? Why did I do this? This is not gonna be. I'm like, Coach, hey, listen. I'm like, these guys don't have the answers. They're not coming in with stuff. I said, I thought it'd be funny if, like, you know, next time we do this, like on next Wednesday or whatever, you throw me some questions and I'll just rattle them off. It'd be like shit that even Brady wouldn't know. And he's like, you know, all right, what are you thinking? And I'm like, well, you know, like, you know, you say something, then I rattle off an answer, then you try to hit me with another one, try to catch me slipping, and I'll just keep rattling them off, and all the guys are going to, and that way now they're going to know, like, I got to get in the film room. If Light knows this shit, then I really need to do a little bit more studying. And it fell on deaf ears, dude. He was just like, all right, you know, look, I mean, you know. No, like, it wasn't like a, hey, that sounds like a great idea, or that's really stupid. It was just like indifferent. So I walked out of there thinking, all right, that failed. 3 weeks go by. I'm walking in, and Bear's like, hey, Bill wants to see you. And I'm like, oh, snap, what did I do? Like, I totally forgot about the whole conversation, right? And I'm not kidding you. I walk in his office, and immediately he goes, all right, look, you know, I'll hit you with, you know, what they're doing on 3rd down, and then I'm gonna talk to you about, you know, when we get into the red zone, you know, what that looks like. And then the last one, I'm like, and he rattles off these 3 questions he's gonna ask me, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what's the answer? Like, I have no idea. Like, you're speaking like Swahili. I have no idea what you're even referring to, Bill. And he's like, oh, well, so I grab a pen and I start writing the answers on my hand. And we go in, team meeting kicks off, and he starts off with his typical, I mean, you know, in the category of what we're not looking for. And it's some Bengals, you know, problem with some guy getting arrested at a strip club or something. Always a Bengals player, right? I swear to God, always a Bengals player. And then he looks at me.
That's how we learned the Bengal formation. Yeah. The F was all the way in the inside because he was in jail.
in jail. That's
Yeah.
easy way to remember that.
Catch
one.
up.
So when he asked me, when he says exactly what you said, all right, like, you got all the fucking answers. All right, here we go. What do they do on this? And I literally just rattled off immediately. I remember I could hear the air come out of Copen. He's like, shit, he's awake? And I didn't even know that one. So the next one he throws out there, I immediately answer that one. And the third one, I'm like literally looking at my hand, of course. And so when it's done and we leave the team meeting room, I remember the guys coming up to me and they're like, what the I'm like, hey, did you just get in the film room? You know, like I didn't acknowledge the fact that Bill and I set that up. And you know, here's the best part, Jules. I've never had a conversation with Bill about any of the funny stuff that's ever happened between him and I.